What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel with On 3. Today on the Hard Count, I'm going to tell you why I'm buying stock in Auburn's Bryan Harsin. Welcome into the Hard Count, the people show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. It's free. It costs you nothing, cost us nothing, and it's just a great all-around deal. I am buying stock in Auburn head coach Bryan Harsin. Hear me very clearly when I say this. I am not saying that Bryan Harsin and Auburn are going to win the national title in the next 3 years. I'm not saying that Bryan Harsin is going to win Coach of the Year. I'm not even saying that Bryan Harsin won't get fired by the end of the year for Auburn. I don't wish that upon him, but these are things that I'm not saying, okay? What I am saying is I think Bryan Harsin is made of the right things that will long-term benefit Auburn. Now, how long does he get? That's a whole other question for people that make a lot more money than me and that are a lot more involved with Auburn than me. But what I am here to say is I think he's got the juice, and I think Auburn should give him a little bit of time to get it done. First and foremost, he doesn't deal with nonsense, which has, in theory, on paper, also by way of rumor, been an issue at Auburn. A lot of the complaints within that fan base has been, well, the boosters are too involved. They have too much pull in the program. They probably have too much pull in the program right now, but Bryan Harsin is a guy who doesn't deal with that nonsense. And in part, that's why there was that coup to try to get him fired. And he said as much at SEC Media Day between the lines. He also takes every situation head on, like in the same vein of not dealing with nonsense. He went 8 Mile. He went Eminem 8 Mile at the press conference at SEC Media Day. He opened up with saying, a lot of y'all didn't expect for me to be here. Just like that scene in the movie. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend watching an edited version. Anyway, he basically says, you can say whatever you want about me. Here's all the things you're going to say about me. Your move. Essentially just saying, checkmate. I know myself. I know the situation. I know what I'm walking into. I don't care. You went for it. You missed. I'm still the head coach. Let's roll. I love that about a guy. I love that about a guy who's confident enough in himself, confident enough in what he's doing in his program to not be intimidated by the external. And I think that's crucial. At a job like Auburn, where you got Georgia on one side, Alabama on the other, to just look down the barrel and say, no, we're fine. My first year wasn't perfect, wasn't how we wanted it, but we're fine. We're going to keep rolling. He doesn't bend the knee. And I know right now he doesn't have the juice to have the support of the boosters to not bend the knee. But long term, that's going to serve him well. It's going to serve Auburn well if they can get far enough down the road. Because you know who else didn't bend the knee? Nick Saban. Now, the difference is he came to Alabama with a lot more accolades and a little bit more jewelry and probably more belief behind him. But that was an issue at Alabama long ago, too. When he came into the program, there was a lot of boosters having access they shouldn't have, and access that was ultimately detrimental to what happened on Saturdays. And Nick Saban just said, no, my way or the highway. Same thing Bryan Harsin's saying right now. Only difference is he's not coming from a national title background. So I understand why there's a little bit of a give and take there. But I'm telling you, that is crucial. To have conviction that Bryan Harsin has cannot be overstated. Second piece of this, the guy can win. Like, I know they went 6-7 last year, lost their last 5, whatever. The guy can win games. He's proven as much. Now, he's still proving that in the SEC, but he's 82-31 as a head coach, y'all. 82-31 at any level is impressive. He knows how to win football games. Look at last year. Going into November, Auburn was 6-2. You take that every single time in the SEC. To be 6-2 headed into the hardest part of your schedule. Now, they lost the last 5. I understand that's why we're having this conversation, why we're having to have this video in general. But think about where they were in the last game of the regular season against Alabama. I've said it before. Tank Bigsby is the best player on their team, but if he goes down in bounds, Auburn beats Alabama, and we're having a completely different conversation about Bryan Harsin. They were a play or two away from beating Alabama. That's what you brought him there to do, right? To win football games and beat Alabama? He very closely checked that box. One play away from checking that box, and you already want to give up on the guy? I'm not buying it. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take a more all-encompassing picture of what we got right here. It was his first year, and they were competitive heading into November, and they really coulda, woulda, shoulda beat Alabama. That's, in my book, that's a good year. I understand the folks at Auburn aren't thrilled with that, and it's never great to lose your last 5, never good in general to lose your last 5. But in your first year where you're still getting your processes and your buy-in and your system implemented, there's a lot worse ways that could have gone. So that's the second thing. To finish this out, and I don't know if we can totally put a number to this, but they've created some belief in that locker room. Like, talk to people close to Auburn and people inside the building, the people that actually matter when it comes to what happens on Saturdays. They believe in what's going on. And that's pretty impressive when you look at what they've lost. Lost your quarterback, Bo Nix, gone to the portal. He's in Eugene. Lost your coordinators, and you lost your last 5. You lost your last 5 games. To have those 3 things up against you and to still have a cool hand and to still be committed to this program, because all those guys in that locker room have now recommitted to Bryan Harsin. The portal gives you an out to every single year. You have to recommit to your coach. They've all done it now. And to still believe in what's going on at Auburn, the guy has culture. There's no other way to say it. The guy has created belief at a place where there's a lot of reasons for unbelief. And that's saying something about Bryan Harsin. That's saying something about Auburn. So again, I am not making a prediction on how many games Auburn's going to win this year. I think conservatively they're a 7-win team, which is, a game and a half above their over-under before the season starts at 5.5. I understand 7 wins. We may still not, we may have to do a video about Bryan Harsin leaving Auburn, or getting fired from Auburn rather, because they have a really high standard there. I understand that. I understand the leash is short. But ultimately, Bryan Harsin is made of the right things that you need to be successful at Auburn. I hope he's the guy to do it. I hope Auburn has a phenomenal year with all that he's had to go through this past offseason. But Bryan Harsin has got the juice, and I hope they give him time. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us do more fun things. We're surging towards 10,000 subs. We want you along for the ride. We want you here at the party. And so we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.